Hello, good morning, everybody. So I'm Michelle. Welcome to my Monday Coffee Talk. Today, I'm really excited because I have another special guest, Mr. Steve Donofrio. He has passion in protecting and helping others. He has over 20 years of experience in helping people between ages of 15 to 25 building confidence and leadership skills. Steve is also a former non-commissioned officer in the U.S. Army. He spent 15 years living and working in Japan, running his own small business. He is a leading author of the book Mama Manual, and he's also a regular contributing author for Japan's leading professional security journal called Security Research Magazine. He is all about boosting confidence. And I know we can all use some confidence on a Monday morning today. And he's also helping building leaders and in bettering their lives. So Steve has spoken and taught to many schools, college, and companies throughout America as well as Japan. So welcome my guest, Steve Donofrio. Yay! Hi, Steve.
Hi, Michelle. That's a great introduction.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
wrote it myself.
So Steve, tell us about you. Like, what?
Well, you kind of said everything, but yeah, what I do is I've really been about helping people create and boost confidence because, when living in Japan, we had a safety and security company and a leadership development company. And what we really talked about was helping people live safer, healthier, and happier lives. And that comes down to a lot of times simply confidence. With one word, it's confidence. So many people have knowledge, they have skills, they have abilities, but often fail to get the success they want, fail to achieve the dreams they have, not because they're not smart enough, because either fear is stopping them, or, and you know this all too well, or we get ourselves caught up in negative self-talk, and we talk ourselves out of even trying to go forward.
Yes.
And so I found that confidence is really one of the most important things that we can do to help people navigate through life. Life's going to change. It's the one thing that's a constant. I think you said it. There's one thing that's constant, and that's change. Yeah. And that's having the confidence to deal with change, to go through it, and to not just go through it, but to grow through it, so to speak. And to get better as we do it.
Yeah. It's so interesting how you said that, you noticed that the confidence was really the key thing in helping people moving forward in any stages of life. And, because I work with a lot of clients who's doing a lot of self-talk and self-negative judgment. And when they ask me, I think I had one client specifically ask me, how do I get more confident? And that was like the key thing that keep running around in people's mind. How did you I'm curious, how did you get into like helping, when did you realize that you this is something that you wanted to do?
Well, I think I've been doing it for a long time. I spent 20 years in youth ministry helping young people. And I was also a military non-commissioned officer for 4 years in the U.S. Army. And a lot of times we say in the military, for military leadership, it's if you want great people to follow you, it's the 4 pillars of confidence. It's confidence in yourself and your own abilities and talents. It's confidence in the team you have around you. It's confidence in the equipment you have, and it's confidence in your leadership. You must have all 4 pillars to succeed. And you can apply that to any, I speak to athletes and sports teams, and we talk about those things. Performance isn't about how talented you are. Do you have the confidence to execute? And so often we don't. So how do you, and I think confidence is a skill set, not a feeling or an emotion, because it can be developed like any other skill. We can build confidence by following certain patterns, certain habits, and certain methods of thinking. And that's going to help us build our confidence regardless where we're at. You don't one day say, hey, I want to be a pro athlete, and go from never playing the sport to the top level in whatever sport you choose. You grow and you get better through the lower leagues, through the practices. You develop confidence through practice. You develop confidence through failure. You navigate change with confidence. Change helps you build confidence. Mm-hmm. If your mindset is correct.
Yeah.
I lost a business in Japan. My business actually failed back in 2013, 14. It was on a downward projection after the big tsunami and earthquake in Japan. Mm-hmm. And we started heading down, and we had to close the business. I had to move back to the United States of America in 2015, deep in debt and with a lot of negative self-talk. And so that's where I started to think about what happened. How did it happen? And this is a big change for me. I'm now back in Japan back in America after 15 years. So I'm doing a reculture shock. It's a change now of going from a high level of success in Japan to I'm deep in debt with no business and no job, and I got to figure out how to pay rent. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing a lot of transition, and there's a lot of change taking place. And I found myself in a very low and negative place in my life and had to overcome that. And I'm a realist. And so we joke about, sometimes, I don't know if you're like this or not, or maybe some people are, but sometimes positive people make me crazy. And what I mean by that is not positive, and it's the people that's always rainbows and unicorns. It's like, oh, just think happy thoughts and life will be good. And I'm like, no, it won't be, because you got to get real with life. There are certain realities. If there's problems, there's problems, and you can't think happy thoughts and make them go away. And that's where we came up with this idea of dealing with change, being real with change. We use the word real. It's an acronym, R.E.A.L. Mm-hmm. And we have some fun with that. And it helps people like me who are not just unicorns and rainbows kind of people, but like to what we call be realistic about life.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is getting real with the change is really about recognizing that these issues are real. I mean, if you're sitting in the living room and worrying about where your rent is going to come from or where your meal is going to come from, I mean, how do you even think about your future? How do you even think about your passion? Like there's no question about passion or future. You're worrying about what is being real. And you use that acronym R.E.A.L, real. What does that stand for?
Well, I love it because it's so simple. And if you can remember, when things happen bad, just think, I have to get real. And so R is about taking responsibility. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by taking responsibility is, if you've heard the sometimes if I say, Michelle, I want you to take responsibility, I need you to admit there is how do you finish that sentence? Admit there's a what?
There's a flaw in all of this.
There's a problem, there's a flaw, right? And we look at people with addictions and behaviors, admit there's a problem. If you look internally, well, it's easy for us to see problems. Mm-hmm. We are naturally geared toward negative self-talk. It's fight or flight. It's worst case scenario. But what we want to say is we want to take responsibility and admit there's a solution to every problem. Mm-hmm. When you take responsibility where you say, you know what, my life is of my own choosing and my own doing, then when you say, I admit there's a solution to every problem. Yeah, identify the problems. That's great. Look, I don't have enough money for rent. I don't have this. I don't have this. That's fine. Identify your roadblocks and then write the sentence down. Mm-hmm. There's a solution to, and identify your problem. Yeah. Take responsibility and say there's a solution to whatever the problem is. When you do that, you get control back. Mm-hmm. When you say, I don't have A, B, or C, you're putting the control and the power into the hand of the problem. You're handing over control to a problem. But when you say, I'm taking responsibility, there's a solution to not enough money for rent. Now we're in control. And maybe we don't want to admit it. Hey, man, I got to stop being lazy and get to work. Or the other problem is that it's empowering to say, you know what, I can do this. I have hope now because I know there's a solution to whatever problem I have right now there's a solution. I might not know the solution this second, but I'm going to take responsibility, admit there is one. Yeah. And that's just simple step one. Now I know I have hope. I just have to go find that solution. Mm-hmm. And now I can get excited.
Yes.
So I can write down a lot of ideas about what could the solutions possibly be. I can get out there and try a bunch of ideas. But I have hope now because I'm in control of my life.
Yeah.
That's R. Take responsibility and admit there's a solution. Mm-hmm. And then begin to take action. I like to say it this way. Mad action is all about will get you mad results. Mm. And remember, though, I didn't say success. I said results. These results could be disastrous. You might have an epic failure. So it doesn't mean, just because you do something doesn't mean it's always going to work the first time. You might just miserably fail. And that leads us to E, of being real. So number one is take responsibility. Number two is E, expect failure and setback. Mm-hmm. That's what E is all about, expecting the failures and the setback. And it's not about, oh, I'm terrible, woe is me, life is hard, I never do it, I always fail. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, the more I try, the more I'm going to expect something to go wrong, and that's okay. When I teach athlete stuff and I say, look, you have to be of the mindset of, you will never lose. Winning is everything. But we never lose, and drives some people crazy. But Steve, what about sportsmanship? No, I'm not talking about that. I am talking about this mindset. We never lose. We always learn. Yeah. If the scoreboard goes against us, we lost the game, fine. But what did we learn? Why did we lose? Let's take that. We expect those setbacks to happen. Now, what can we learn from them? How do we take failure and setback and use it as a tool to build confidence, build strength, get better? There's an old Japanese proverb. It says, fall down 7 times, get up 8. And I think about a baby walking for the first time. And that baby crash. You've seen the videos, and we watch people take their first baby steps, and they fall down, and they try to stand back up, and their whole body's shaking, and they crash. What's the baby do? Nope, I'm done walking. This walking thing ain't for me. I'm staying on the floor. That's not what happens, right? You
guys lost me. I'm sorry.
You're back.
I'm back. Yay.
That's okay. We're talking about, so what happens when that baby takes those first steps and falls down?
Well, you get up.
Yeah, the baby gets up.
You just get up.
But what's happening, though, if you think about it from a mental and physical point of view, is every time that baby stands back up, what's happening is the tendons and ligaments get stronger, the muscles get stronger. Then the second, maybe the baby stands up again, the baby's looking around and reaches out and grabs hold of a chair or a couch or something to stabilize. Well, the baby just got smarter. Every time failure happens, you get stronger and you get smarter. And if you remember that, then you can use failure and setback as a tool to get better at what you do. And that will build the confidence. So E is about expecting failures and setbacks. And I think your favorite's going to be the next one, because it's A, and it's all about what I call accurate thinking and attitude.
I'm the people that you hate, positive thinker.
And I'm not talking about positive, because I'm talking about when all you do is say, think happy thoughts and life will be good. This is what accurate thinking is about. Yeah. The great philosopher, Greek philosopher Epictetus said, men are not despaired by things, but rather by the opinion or the view of those things. It's how we look at a thing that makes a difference. My own example, my business collapsed. It failed. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so deep in debt. I failed. What a loser. I'm a poor businessman. I failed at everything. I suck at this. Someone loses a loved one, a boyfriend or girlfriend leaves you. Woe is me. No one can love me. My boyfriend left me. My girlfriend left me. I went through this. I'm a loser. I couldn't do it. I let everybody down. That's not accurate thinking. We have to be careful not to put our opinion on the facts. My business failed. That was a fact. I'm a loser. It's my opinion. Mm-hmm. And that's what accurate thinking is about. How do we look at a situation? Attitude, and this is where the positivity comes in. I'm a big fan of, glass is half full kind of guy. But think about every day when we go through the day, how do you start your day? I call it, starting the day with proactive positivity. Mm-hmm. Practicing proactive positivity. And that means you wake up and say, today is going to be a good day because, and you list all of the reasons why today should be a great day. You're setting up your subconscious to begin to look for opportunity and begin looking for good things. At the end of the day, you write that down, you repeat it. Today was a good day because, and you list all the things you're grateful for that day. Yeah. You get in a habit of looking for positive things. Mm-hmm. Think about people coming home from work, right? What do? They complain about their job, complain about the people at work. Oh, so-and-so is such a jerk. She did this, he did this. I have a 3-to-1 rule. For every one negative thing that comes out of your mouth about another human being, there should be 3 positives. When you come home, do you tell your significant other, your loved one, your friends, the great things that happened at work that day? Mm-hmm. Today, so-and-so did this, and it was wonderful. I felt so grateful. I was so happy. 3 positive comments verbally out loud to every one negative you say. If you want to get a better relationship with somebody that you're struggling with, list all their good points and say them out loud on a regular basis. Look, they might have hurt you. They might have done you wrong. And it might be hard for you to do it, but force yourself to find the good in them and start making, and guess what? That relationship will improve, I promise. Mm-hmm. Because it will be easier to see the great things. This is your expertise right here. This is where you'll recognize this.
Yeah.
Life's an ocean, right?
Life is an ocean. And one of the things I really encourage people to do is, instead of just thinking it, because our mind is really working in a funny way. And someone like you talk about seeing positive people, think positively. And sometimes it's really hard to believe when you're in that mindset, so strongly believe that all the negativity is happening. So what I encourage people to do is actually to sit down, write it down. When you write down, there's a physical action that associated with your mind. So your mind is thinking, oh, this is something I'm doing, and you're doing it. So I always tie it down to a thought and then an action, so that it sticks to you, it's meaningful to you. Because it may be really hard to believe that this is the way to be, right? If I'm hating someone, I that person hurt me, I can't imagine myself standing there and listing all the good positive about that person. But if I were to sit down and really write down, and I'm forced to write down, what is it about them that has good quality? What are those characteristics that I liked? Write it down. Then you start recognizing, oh yeah, there is something good about them.
Yeah. And I think, and this is where I believe, that's where, to me, attitude and accurate thinking are everything. You have to write that down. And so that's R is take responsibility, admit there's a solution to every problem. E is expect failure, setback, use it to grow. A is accurate thinking and attitude, positivity. And then L is lifestyle. Are we living the lifestyle that matches our dreams and our goals and our ideals? All too often we're not. And we have to say, hey, listen, if I want to change something, if I want to get my dream, I want to get my goal, my lifestyle must match. And the first thing I suggest people to do is get around find a support channel. Find other people that will help you get to where you're going to go. Mm-hmm. And that, I would encourage everyone listening, if you find yourself going through a change and you even at all say, hey, I don't know if I can do this, or I'm bad at this, I've tried, I've failed. This is where I would say it's good to talk, which is why I like talking with you, Michelle, and I loved your book, because if you talk to someone and they can see an outside objective point, sit down and evaluate your own mindset. Mm-hmm. How are you thinking? And how do you change that negative mindset? How do you change that negative self-talk into positive self-talk? Without positive self-talk, you won't make the lifestyle changes you need. If you wanted to lose weight, as a personal trainer, I help clients all the time. But if a client keeps saying, I've tried before, I can't, I've done it a million times, nothing works for me, nothing will work. Step one is we have to change that negative self-talk to positive self-talk. Yeah. And I have to encourage them when I say get real. So what's your lifestyle like? But your lifestyle begins with your mind. And I loved, I brought up Life's an Ocean. I got that from your book. I mean, I absolutely love your book. And it's really a powerful, life-changing story. So if you're on there, if you haven't had Michelle's book yet, go buy it, because it will, except for the first story at the beginning about your poor dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For some reason, yeah. You guys need to read it.
Other than that story, absolutely great book. And I mean that it's such a heartfelt, what a beautiful, inspirational story of overcoming everything. And how do you get, so if you haven't looked at the book, go buy the book. But more than that, a lifestyle begins with getting positive with who we are, feeling good about ourselves, and feeling good about our situation. How do you look at, it was hard for me to come back to America. It was hard for me to get over feeling like a loser, having lost everything after 15 years. Yeah. And it was a very big ego blow to me. And this isn't to sound, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I had pretty good business in Japan. I had my own TV show. I was on national media. I did a lot of wonderful things that I was very proud of. And it all collapsed in a matter of a few months. Where now I'm back in America at zero. I've got nothing. And it took me spending time with reading books like yours. It took me talking to people who are saying, hey, Steve, let's look at your mindset. What negative self-talk is affecting you? How do you, until you change that negative self-talk, you're not going to transition this change well. And that's where getting real with change came from, because I would spend, Steve, you need to think happy thoughts. It ain't going to work. Too many problems. I got to pay rent. Well, then that would become the idea, okay, wait a minute. My business failed. That was my fault. That doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means I made some mistakes. How do I learn from these mistakes? One of the things that I love hearing is this. Instead of asking the question, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this?
Beautiful.
Okay, this sucked. I hated this. This bad thing happened to me. Okay, so it did. That's the truth. Anything else after that is the opinion I'm going to put on it.
Yeah. And I think that it really summarized like this quote I was thinking about this morning. If you think you can, you can. Right? If you believe that you can do something and that you want a happy life, whatever that happiness means to you, if you believe you can, then you can. And it goes back to your real. Being real means that you start taking responsibility. And one of the type of or group of clients, or my clientele, that I really love to work with is those who's ready taking responsibility. Like if they're still in the state where, well, it only happened to me, why does it only happen to me? You're still in that level of, we call it the lower level of energy, so level 1 and level 2, right? So it's that victim mindset, angry, blaming mindset. If you're in that mindset, then you don't have that ability to move into taking responsibility, which is really hard to turn that mindset around. So what would you recommend, or what would you say to those who's in the state where they realize they have that negative self-talk, they're in between shifting into responsibility, they can't be vulnerable. Like what you did just now is being vulnerable in front of everyone, and it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable and admitting that, well, this is what I need some help, I'm going to take responsibility to change. What would you suggest?
And this might sound hard, and I don't want to, because I don't want to belittle anyone's life or anyone's problems. But it's like taking the Band-Aid off. Just rip that sucker off. You have to, and sometimes it's easier if you take a deep breath, close your eyes, and ask someone else to rip the Band-Aid off. It hurts less. And so find somebody that you can complain to for a few minutes, but that can also say, how do we change that? I would say, if you're in a point of, I want to change, I don't know how, that's when I would, like, Michelle, I had our talks together already. It's those one-on-ones and saying, hey, look at my life objectively and help me see it. Because right inside the hurricane, it's hard to see. But if you have somebody else outside that, and then have the courage to just do, every great athlete has one thing in common. They all have a coach. In fact, they have multiple coaches. They have trainers, they have nutritionists, they have this coach and that coach and specialty coaches. And an athlete's job is to listen to the coach. Get a coach. And take the time and say, okay, coach, here's where I want to be. What do I have to do to get there? And then have the courage to trust your coach. We talked about confidence in ourselves, but we also have to have confidence in others. And it doesn't hurt to make a phone call, to have that one-on-one time and say, here's my life, here's where I want it to be. Coach, what do you think? And take that. It's like people say, oh, I don't want to, when I talk with security and safety, and we talk about assessments and getting an assessment profile done, and people say, what's the price? What's the price? And I'm like, dude, let's not worry about the price of doing it. Let's dig into the cost of not doing it. What's the cost to our personal self if we don't take some time to invest in digging a little deeper with our own mind? And having the courage to say, maybe there's a different way. I think it was Einstein who said, you don't get out of a problem by the same mindset or thinking that got you into it.
That was Einstein.
And so many times we want to solve problems with the exact same mentality that got us in the problem to begin with. We have to reach out. I would encourage everyone listening out there who enjoys as much as I do listening to your podcasts and reading your stuff, if they haven't taken the time to get that one-on-one appointment with you, it's not going to cost you anything but a little time to sit down with Michelle like I did and have that conversation and ask the hard questions. And be ready for the hard questions, because she has some hard questions.
That's a hard question to answer, actually. Are you ready for the hard question?
But and when I say that, not in a scary way, but the hard questions mean, are you ready to take that control back? Do you want control of your own life? That's the question to ask. When I teach security officers about communication, I ask, how many here like it when other people control them? Well, nobody. If I were to talk to everyone listening right now and say, who wants to be controlled by other people and other things? Shoot us an email, shoot us a message, write down, hey, Steve, I want to be controlled by somebody. No one's going to say, I want to be controlled. Who's heard the phrase, they made me mad, they made me sad? It happened, therefore I did. You're reacting to situations. You're not in control. That problem's in control. taking the time with somebody else and changing that mindset brings you back in control. And when you're in control, life gets better.
Yep. Yes. I couldn't have said it more beautifully than you do.
When you're in control, life gets better. And the first step of getting in control is saying, where am I out of control? Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it comes to our accurate thinking. Mm-hmm. I'm such a bad person. I'm a loser. I can't do anything right. I keep failing. That is allowing problems and circumstances to take control. And now I would reach out and say, Michelle, what do I do to get control back in my life?
Yeah.
Because once that control comes back, you win.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And problems, no matter how big they seem, can be overcome. So it's just, hey, you got a problem, let's get real. Let's get real together. Give Michelle a call and give her, get that appointment in and ask the question, Michelle, help me get real. Let's get real. Take responsibility, expect failure, attitude and accurate thinking, and how do I change my lifestyle?
Yep,
let's
that's
be
right.
Real with, let's be real with change and have fun with it. It's an adventure.
Have fun. Life is a adventure. It's fun. So have fun and stop worrying about all these negativities. Steve, I wanted to wrap up by asking you, if people who wanted to, get coached and speak to the real Steve, where can they find you?
Well, you have on your notes there my website and my Facebook page. Best way to do is just shoot me an email. Mm-hmm. And if you have an event, athletes, things like that, looking for speakers, I'd be happy to come talk to you. But yeah, and also I believe there's a big event coming up in your neck of the woods next year.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
we're going to be talking about taking control together, I believe. So
we'll be taking control together.
We're going to do a little shout out for that, but be looking forward to some information on that. But yeah, I'm happy to answer emails, answer questions on a lot of different things. Even if they're personal questions, shoot me an email and say, hey, I have a question. What about this?
Which I do all the time.
Yeah. But and it goes both ways because that's the same thing. I need help. I still get stuck I'm still transitioning and change. And it's fun to reach out and say, hey, Michelle, I've been feeling kind of down. And what do I need to do to change this? I know I have some negative self-talk. What do I do? And I love having access to you.
You need to start joining my group. I have a Power Up Self-Talk group on Facebook now. So you should join my group. It's called Power Up Self-Talk. So yes.
Let's all of us get on Power Up Self-Talk. Get over on Facebook, and whether you're seeing this on Facebook Live or LinkedIn or whatever platform.
Or replay.
Whatever you're doing, let's get on Power Up together.
Yep. There we go. Awesome. Thank you.
What an honor to have been here today with you.
It's a pleasure having you. So you gave us so much about the pillars of confidence, the self-confident, team confident, equipment and leadership. And you also talk about getting real. What does it mean to get real when it comes to change, and how can we adapt to that positive mindset? So I totally appreciate you sharing with my audience. This has been amazing.
Well, it has been such an honor and a pleasure. And let's keep in touch, and we'll be back for more. And
we're going to be taking control.
We're going to take control in 2020. That's
right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me on today's Monday Coffee Talk, and I will see you next time.
See you guys. Bye-bye.